All right, welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents. Today I'm talking with Joy Ann Ribar about her Christmas cozy mystery, Deep Flakes Christmas, a Nisse Visit. Welcome, Joy.
Well, thanks for having me, Tracy. I'm happy to be here.
I loved this book and it really just like put me in such a Christmassy mood and everything. And I also love that there's recipes at the end so everybody can enjoy some of the things that you talk about in this book. It's a novella and it's part of your Deep Lakes Cozy Mystery series, right?
Yes.
Tell us
Yeah,
about it.
right. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you liked it. It's actually the third book that I've written, but it's really a prequel to the mystery series. It introduces the characters it and and it kind of gets into the little romance that is already maybe starting to build and that will come into play in the next two books in the series. So how this book came about is that I had somebody I was at a book panel, and someone in the audience said, do you guys always have to kill people in a mystery? Would you ever think about doing a mystery where somebody doesn't get murdered? And I said, well, yeah, I'm actually thinking of writing a Christmas mystery. And I said, I just refuse to kill anyone off at Christmas. And that was kind of how the Deep Lakes Christmas came about. Um, and so it's a little different because it's much more lighthearted and whimsical with a little bit of magic in it that from my other two in the series, which has the same characters and the same kind of, it still has humor and it's still very lighthearted, but in those other two they are straight on mysteries and they're murder mysteries. So that's the difference if anybody is wondering, um, when they dip their toes in the water of where this might be going.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize it came before the other stories. So you're introducing your main character Frankie, right? And she's
Yes,
the owner of the Bubble and Bake
yes,
bakery and wine shop. That's a
yes.
unique pairing. I like it. So tell us how you came up with that idea.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, um, I had gone into semi-retirement when I decided to try my hand at writing. I'd been a creative writing teacher for almost 20 years. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could do some writing instead of just teaching writing? And um, I thought, well, what would I want? I mean, I love mysteries, and I thought, what would I want as a business? Usually, a lot of mysteries are centered around a profession, and I was thinking about what would be my ideal profession that I could do in a book, but I don't have to do it in real life. And I thought, oh, I love to bake. Been baking since I was a little kid, following my mom around the kitchen. My mom is a wonderful baker, and I started getting interested in wines even when I was a teenager because my parents belonged to a wine club, and
Mhm.
so they would have this wine pairing party at our house, and that was how I started to learn about wines. And then, of course, Wisconsin got into its own viticulture, and so many wineries now in Wisconsin, which I think is incredibly exciting. They have such a fun atmosphere. My husband and our friends go to wineries a lot. And so I started really researching and trying to develop a palate, which I had not done before. And then we even tried our hand at making our own wines. So I
Fun.
thought, well, what would be more fun than to have a bakery and by day and a wine lounge by night? Because you could easily mix those two things together. And that was how Bubble and Bake was born.
That's great. I love that idea. And I think a lot of Wisconsinites would love that idea as well. I wonder if there's any place really like that, you know?
I wonder too. I know it's somebody, when I go to book events, I do a lot of book events at wineries.
Mhm.
And so when people ask me to tell them about the book, I always mention, the first thing I mention is bubble and bake. And they say, oh my gosh, I would love to have a bakery and a winery. Isn't that a great idea? And
Yeah.
if you know of any, let me know, where I can go to one of those. And I thought, well, maybe somebody will run with that idea.
Exactly. I love it. So in this book, Frankie has a couple of magical inner voices. And you mentioned that that isn't really true in the other books. She has Goldie, who is like the devil on her shoulder, and the pirate is like the angel, and they talk to her when she's conflicted about things. So talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so they actually are in the other books. Okay, so even though, the Nisses are not in the other books, so those kind of magical elements, but her inner voices are also in the other books. And even Frankie hasn't quite figured out how those inner voices came to be. So she mulls that over at times when she's in this fix of like, you know, of being torn, which I think happens to all of us, where we're trying to make decisions, or we're listening to these inner voices that kind of pull us in more than one direction. And so even she is trying to figure out, like, where did these, to her, they have manifested themselves as these little whimsical fireflies, because she figures, as long as I'm sort of talking to myself anyway, I might as well envision what these little critters could look like. And so she talks about them in the other books. Like, she says, well, when did I first become where did these fireflies come from? And then she has a flashback memory. And then in the second book, she has other flashback memories. So even she's trying to sort of pin down this idea of these inner voices and why they can sometimes torment her, or sometimes also give her really good advice. And I think it's part of Frankie trying to define herself and trying to say, I may be a woman of a certain age, but I'm still sort of dealing with my own identification and my own like definition. I'm somebody's mom, I'm somebody's daughter, I'm a baker, I'm a vintner, I want to be a journalist. I mean, it's this balancing act that she has going on in her life all the time, which I think a lot of women can relate to.
I totally could relate to that. And her relationship with her mother specifically, which was maybe a little tense, but it was, very real to me. I mean, I could completely understand. And the inner voices too seem like I'm sure that many people, talk themselves through situations or, whatever. And so it seemed kind of natural too, that she would have this, these voices.
Well, thanks, because I don't want people to take them too seriously. I mean, it's supposed to be lighthearted, and it's supposed to be, I wanted something a little quirky that would make my books different. There's a lot of cozy mysteries out there, and there's all kinds. I mean, there's such a big variety. And I just thought, well, what is going to be unique? What will make my character have a unique voice, and what will make her unique, so that people can find her to be relatable and interesting. And so I wanted to have a little bit of quirkiness in there.
I loved it. I loved it. So now you have to tell us a little bit about the Nisse.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so first of all, it's a Scandinavian tradition, and a Nisse is a little Scandinavian wee folk, a little kind of elf-like, gnome-like creature. And in Scandinavia, the Nisse usually shows up around the holiday season to kind of watch over the house and watch over the kids, and it's kind of like the tradition that is now the elf on the shelf. The Nisse was kind of like this little hidden creature in the corner that was always spying on kids and then reporting to Father Christmas as to whether or not you're being good or naughty. And then a big part of the Nisse tradition is that every household on Christmas Eve in Scandinavian countries, they leave their Nisse rice pudding, which is called Risengrad, which I include the recipe for in the back of this
Yes.
book. Yeah. And you leave a little bowl of Risengrad with a big pat of butter in it for your Nisse, and sometimes a pint of beer in order
Perfect.
to make your Nisse happy, and then your Nisse will bring you good luck for the rest of the year. Otherwise, the Nisse is kind of a naughty little mischief maker and will also play tricks on you for the rest of the year if he doesn't get his rice pudding. And so I played off that tradition and just kind of wanted this Nisse character to kind of come into this story of all these trials and tribulations that are happening because of multiple snowstorms that are descending upon deep lakes. And of course, I myself am Scandinavian. I'm the triple threat. I'm Danish and Norwegian and Swedish. And and my yeah, and my dad was a Nisse carver. She
Oh,
was a wood carver. That's what he did in his retirement, and that was how we started having Scandinavian traditions at our house.
wow. Oh, that's fun. So
Yeah,
that's
really,
neat that
really
you
fun.
incorporated some of that personal history then into your book.
Yeah, it was just a ton of fun to write.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like you had to do a lot of research where it came to the Scandinavian Christmas themes. Um, so, but I wondered what other kind of research maybe you do for this book or for your other mysteries.
Oh, I do. I do a lot of research in viticulture because since Frankie has a vineyard, I want to make sure that I stay true to how do we grow grapes in Wisconsin? What are the varieties we use? What has to be done in the vineyard season by season? Because every season there's something to do in the vineyard or in the winery, and also the winemaking. So like I said, we tried our own winemaking, and I also talk with a lot of the winery owners that I encounter, and I take notes. Every time I go to a winery, I take notes.
Well, gosh, it sounds like the best kind of research.
It's tons of fun. It's tons of fun. But I do other research too because I want to try to be authentic. And in my second book, it centers around a granite quarry, and so there was a lot of research that I did into the granite quarry, and I had to do research into the type of crime that happened in that book, and it's just anything that comes up that you want to deal with as far as a crime or as far as the legal side of things,
Right.
or even the way police investigate. I try to be authentic. It's not always realistic because you're working in a very short timeline, whereas as opposed to in real life where things don't maybe happen that quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but I do like to do research because I want it to, well, first of all, I love doing research. I just find it fascinating, but you can really go down a rabbit hole when you start doing research.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that kind of makes it fun too. I'm,
Yeah.
I think we have the best jobs in the world.
Oh, so do I. So
Yeah.
do I.
So you must be a fearsome baker at home. What do you like to make for Christmas?
Ooh, well, I make 15 to 20 varieties of cookies, and I always keep looking for new recipes, and then I want to try those new recipes, but then I want all my traditional recipes, so it seems like I keep adding to the list every year. um, I have a cutout cookie that I absolutely love to make that I found. It was a 1950s recipe, and it has wine in the cookie dough.
Wow.
Yeah, I kid you not. And it and so I love making those. I make those every year. Um, I always make I make this recipe called naughty cookies, which look like lumps of coal, and they have Oreos, and they have chocolate chips in them. And
That's the recipe that I want.
I'll give it to you in private. I will send it to you. I will send it to you. Yeah, they're really good. They're really good. Yeah. And
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, thanks so much. We'll end it there because
Okay.
you can look up more of Joy's recipes in the back of the Deep Flakes Christmas. And look for more conversation with her on blackbirdwriters.com and on her website. And we'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.